Does the name Kingdom Hearts inspire passion in your heart or utter confusion? Well, hopefully by the end of all of this, it will be simple and clean for you to understand, because my name is Jonathan Dornbush, I am IGN's resident Kingdom Hearts expert, and this is IGN Breakdown, where I will be bringing you through the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise so you can get your hands on Kingdom Hearts 3 and have a full understanding of the franchise's lore, characters, and gameplay. Now, the story of Kingdom Hearts 3 will focus on Sora, who has been with the franchise since it first began. He's essentially trying to regain his powers after he was kind of tempted by the bad guys in the series into a darker form. Don't worry, he resisted, but he needs to regain his strength. While he's doing that, his friend Riku, who is also original to the series, is venturing off with King Mickey, yes, Mickey Mouse. They're heading off to save another one of their friends in the hopes of assembling an army to combat this man named Xehanort. Now, Xehanort is the big bad of the essential entire franchise. He is trying to collect all of his forms from throughout time and space. He's trying to gather them into this powerful organization that can harness the power of Kingdom Hearts. So essentially, he's trying to combine his own forces to harness Kingdom Hearts. They are trying to protect it. And so Kingdom Hearts 3 will focus on that ensuing battle. There's also some Disney villains trying to do some other stuff, but we don't want to get too into the weeds just yet. However, before we get to actually diving into Kingdom Hearts 3, it's important that you have an idea of the entire franchise's story. So here's roughly the entire Kingdom Hearts story in about 5 minutes.
So you have come this far, and still you understand nothing.
More than a century before the events of Sora's journey began, 5 factions of Keyblade Masters named Foretellers lived in harmony, but they began to fight shortly after their leader, subtly named the Master of Masters, leaves, and they begin to think there may be a traitor in their midst. A giant Keyblade war breaks out, leading to the really cool and really grim Keyblade graveyard. Meanwhile, the Master of Masters' other apprentice, Luxu, is out in the desert ensuring events unfold as they do in the Book of Prophecies. Hopefully Kingdom Hearts 3 will surely answer what he's up to. Probably, maybe. Fast forward decades later to Kingdom Hearts' birth by sleep and the stories of 3 Keyblade wielders, Terra, Aqua, and Ventus, training under Master Ericus. There's also another obviously evil Keyblade Master, Master Xehanort, who sabotages Terra and Aqua's Mark of Mastery exam. Aqua eventually passes, but Terra is deemed to have too much darkness in his heart, which Xehanort tempts him into embracing. All 3 of Ericus' students eventually go off on their own adventures to various Disney worlds to fight the Unversed, occasionally crossing paths with King Mickey. Their adventures include some subtle foreshadowing as Aqua and the others run into Kairi, Sora, and Riku. Trouble finds them, however, when Ericus dies thanks to Xehanort's meddling, and he also reveals his plans to use Ven's heart to create the ultimate Keyblade and open Kingdom Hearts. Eventually, they all find themselves at the Keyblade graveyard where a battle breaks out and things turn south. Ven merges with Vanitas, Xehanort's apprentice who is created from Ven's inner darkness, forming an incomplete Keyblade while Xehanort transfers his heart into Terra's body. Ven eventually destroys Vanitas, Terra's mind lingers inside a suit of armor, and Aqua shatters the Keyblade. Ven falls into a deep sleep and Aqua hides him away before going to save Terra's body from being consumed by darkness, but Xehanort has other plans. Terra sacrifices himself, falling into darkness instead. Terra Xehanort ends up in Radiant Garden, where he goes on to become the apprentice of a man named Ansem. Ventus' heart eventually finds its way to the Destiny Island, where it merges with Sora's heart, which brings us to the original Kingdom Hearts. Finally, Sora, now a decade older, longs to leave the island for adventure with his best friends Riku and Kairi, who he's totally in love with. Adventure or destiny comes to them, however, when one dark and stormy night, the islands come under attack by the Heartless. Sora finds himself in possession of the Keyblade, but it's too late for his home. Darkness pulls them away, throwing the trio to the winds. Sora winds up in a place called Traverse Town, where he meets Donald Duck and Goofy, who have been sent by King Mickey after he has disappeared to find the key. Well, Sora's carrying a big key around, so they work together to find their missing friends. They travel around locking keyholes in various Disney worlds to prevent Heartless from taking over. Meanwhile, a group of Disney villains led by Maleficent is kidnapping Disney princesses to harness the power of Kingdom Hearts. Along with them is Riku, who has embraced their darker ties partly because Maleficent has promised to help find Kairi while also convincing him that Sora has abandoned him. Everyone finds their way to Hollow Bastion, which was once Radiant Garden, where Sora, Donald, and Goofy destroy Maleficent but find Riku acting emo. He's been possessed by someone named Ansem, who looks an awful lot like Terra Xehanort. Sora fights and defeats him, who reveals Kairi's heart has been trapped in Sora's body. Realizing Hollow Bastion will never be saved without her heart, Sora strikes himself with the Keyblade, freeing his and her hearts and also turning himself into a Heartless. Sora makes his way back to his body with the help of Kairi's heart, and the group sets off to the end of the world to fight and finally defeat Ansem. There, the big bad opens the door to Kingdom Hearts, revealing its light, which, hey, kills Ansem. Behind the door are Riku and Mickey, who help Sora close the door from the other side, reconstructing all the destroyed worlds in the process. The worlds are saved, but Sora and the gang decide to find their friends. Inside Castle Oblivion, Sora finds his memories of Kairi being replaced by a girl named Naminé, who is working for a shadowy group called Organization 13. Luckily, Sora takes out half the group, and Naminé, who's actually a good guy, offers to restore his memories by putting Sora, Donald, and Goofy into these cool sleep pods. Why is Naminé willing to help? Well, she's Kairi's nobody. When people's hearts are separated from their bodies, some cause both a Heartless and Nobody to be created. All of the members of Organization 13 are nobodies too. Sora, Donald, and Goofy eventually awaken, specifically after Sora's nobody Roxas merges back with Sora. The three set off on another quest, this time to find Riku and prevent Organization 13 from completing their evil plan of harnessing Kingdom Hearts so they can get their hearts back. Anyway, Organization 13 is led by Xemnas, who is Xehanort's nobody, while Ansem was Xehanort's Heartless. The real Ansem is actually Ansem the Wise, the man who is Xehanort's mentor. He has been guiding Riku after he too awoke in Castle Oblivion, and together with Sora, the two of them tackle Xemnas, seemingly stopping Organization 13's plan for good. Unfortunately, darkness still lingers. Anticipating Xehanort's return, Yen Sid has Sora and Riku take the Mark of Mastery exam, during which Sora contends with Xehanort, whose reformed Organization 13 includes all his forms throughout time. He wants Sora to be a vessel for him, the 13th member of a new organization. The boy is saved, but not made a Keyblade Master by Yen Sid. Yen Sid sends Riku and Mickey off to save Aqua from the Dark World, while Yen Sid tasks Sora with training after his brief flirtation with darkness left him stripped of many of his powers. He'll head off to train and presumably fight alongside the other Guardians of Light against Terra, Xehanort, Xemnas, Ansem, Billy Zane one last time in Kingdom Hearts 3, which actually comes out really soon. Now hopefully that gives you an idea of the entire franchise's lore. There's obviously a lot more nuance and specificity to everything that has gone on across almost a dozen games, but nonetheless that should give you some pretty good legwork when you're jumping into Kingdom Hearts 3. Of course, a couple things you might want to know. Heartless are the bad guys. When someone's heart becomes a Heartless, if they're particularly strong, they can also become a nobody. But all you need to know is Xehanort is essentially trying to assemble his Heartless, his nobody, and a lot of other forms to harness the power of Kingdom Hearts once and for all. We'll see if that happens, but of course, if you want to play the other games in the franchise before jumping into Kingdom Hearts 3, not everything is essential to play, so here are some of my suggestions for what you should play and what you should skip. Now, on one hand, if you have a PlayStation 4, you are pretty much set. There's the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 collection, as well as Kingdom Hearts 2.8. Essentially, those two collections have every game except for the mobile game, but we'll get there in a minute. That has pretty much everything you will need to play to understand the full story of Kingdom Hearts. Of course, not everything in there is essential. Some of it are just cutscenes, so you won't actually be playing every single game, but here are my suggestions for what you should definitely check out before Kingdom Hearts 3. Starting with the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 collection, you get Kingdom Hearts 1, the original Final Mix version. That's essentially a deluxe edition of that original game. That is absolutely worth playing. It's what made me fall in love with the series. It's what made a lot of the fans who have stuck with it for so long fall in love with the series. It is the origin of Sora, Riku, and Kairi's journey. It gives you a lot of groundwork for why they matter, why the Disney characters in this franchise matter, and just overall a sense of the battle of good and bad fighting over Kingdom Hearts. Now, the game that follows that up you would think would be Kingdom Hearts 2, but before Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, there was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which was originally released on the Game Boy Advance. In this collection for PS4, you have the option to play the PS2 remake of that Game Boy Advance game. It's a fun and interesting combat system. It's somewhat divisive though, so if you don't love that system, I would suggest skipping over it early on and not putting yourself through that if you're not enjoying it, and essentially reading a story summary, because a lot of characters who are introduced in that game are important on the villainous side. They're essentially the first Organization 13 you'll meet. Organization 13 is the moniker largely for the villains in the franchise, so it's good to know the origins of them within the games. Now, as you move on, Kingdom Hearts 2 is, of course, worth playing. That is the next really major step in the story arc when it comes to Sora, Riku, and Kairi's journey against Xehanort and his other forms like Xemnas and Ansem, which you may have heard about a little earlier. Outside of Kingdom Hearts 2, though, you can also play Kingdom Hearts 358 Over 2 Days, which was originally released on the Nintendo DS. In the collection, it is just a series of cutscenes. It's important in the sense that it gives you an idea of the character of Roxas, as well as his friends Axel and Xion. Now, there's also Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is a prequel game that was originally released on the PSP. That is surprisingly not just one of the best games in the franchise, but one of the most important to the lore. That's the game that introduced Xehanort sort of in his human form that we most familiarly see him in. We also get the introductions of Aqua, Terra, and Ven, who are all major players going into Kingdom Hearts 3. If you've seen any of the trailers, chances are you've seen some flashes of them throughout it. Now, their stories and where they go are supremely important to the entire future of Kingdom Hearts, and they also tie in nicely to Sora, Riku, and Kairi's journey. So I would highly recommend playing Birth by Sleep if you have the time. To sum it all up in that collection is Kingdom Hearts Recoded, a collection of cutscenes that come from the Nintendo DS game, which was previously a collection of episodic games. That game takes place somewhere in the timeline that you don't really need to know about, because essentially the story is about Jiminy Cricket's journal being digitized and getting a virus in it, and they need to go fight that virus. The story doesn't really matter. It is extremely self-contained. It really doesn't impact the rest of the franchise. You are spending more time on that game than you would actually need to understand Kingdom Hearts, and if anything, it would make you even more confused, so you can probably just skip it in my opinion. Of course, there's also the Kingdom Hearts 2.8 collection. That is also only available on PS4. So what you get in that is Dream Drop Distance, which is a remake of the 3DS game. That is essentially one of the furthest in the timeline up into Kingdom Hearts 3 entries in the franchise. That gives you a sense of how Sora and Riku, they are trying to take their Mark of Mastery exam, which if you remember the recap a little bit ago, that tells you whether or not they can be Keyblade Masters. It's interesting and important setup for Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's actually quite a long game, and so if you're not really loving, it bounces between an adventure of Sora's and an adventure of Riku's. You don't always have great control over when it changes between adventures. So if that gets frustrating to you, my advice would be to just watch sort of a Let's Play or watch some videos about it and get a sense of where that story gets you. Back cover is basically a prequel to the Kingdom Hearts mobile game, Kingdom Hearts Unchained, which later became Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. A lot of names in this franchise. That will essentially tell you the earliest parts of this series. It does have importance to the series afterward, but it is also really just expanding the lore and I think giving you a better sense of why the Keyblade Wars mattered, why the Keyblade Graveyard mattered, and things like that. It's not necessarily directly related to Sora, Riku, and Kairi's journey as intrinsically as some of these other things are. The only other part of 2.8 is a thing called 0.2. Add 2.8 to 0.2, you get Kingdom Hearts 3. That's how that works. 0.2 focuses on Aqua when she's trapped in the Dark World. This was actually made with an engine they were using for Kingdom Hearts 3, so it's probably your best sense of how Kingdom Hearts 3 would play before playing that game. It actually is a pretty fun, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hour adventure that gives you an idea of where Aqua's place will be in the story, as well as a bit of a bridging of the gap for Riku, Kairi, Mickey, Sora, and the gang. And actually leads up to right about the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 3. That's actually worth playing, and I enjoyed it quite a bit when I played it. Unfortunately, if you are wanting to play Kingdom Hearts 3 on Xbox, these collections have not come to Xbox yet, and we've talked to Square Enix in the past, and they haven't really said if they could ever in the future, but as of this point, there are no announced plans to bring them to Xbox. Kingdom Hearts 3 has not been announced yet for Switch, but here's hoping, because I would love to play that game on the go. Of course, there is so much more Kingdom Hearts to discuss before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. We're going to be talking about characters in the next episode of IGN Breakdown, so you can look forward to knowing why all these Disney characters are around, who the bad guys are, who the good guys are. Is Donald actually a useful party member? You'll find out in the next episode, and remember, may your heart be your guiding key.